Hello and welcome back. It's your VJ here. In the previous chapter we saw how Alex, with the revelation of Lord Lex, the hypocrite face of Sir Bill and Spark, were torn apart in front of Dorothy and the rest. Once he left Dorothy's house after all the drama, he went straight to the hospital to look after his mom, where he met her attending doctor, Dr. Cheryl, and agreed to be her boyfriend for the night. If you haven't watched the previous chapters, do watch it. Don't forget to subscribe, like and hit the notification bell.
From this moment onwards, you are pretending to be my boyfriend. Call me Cheryl.
All right, good.
The pair headed out the door and left Dr. Cheryl's office. On their way down, the elevator was very crowded. When it stopped on the 5th floor, a delivery person entered, and the crowd had to squeeze to make space for him. Dr. Cheryl lost her balance and could only lean against Alex. At that instant, Alex felt happiness come knocking. Deep down in his heart, he thought when God closed one door, he opened another. Dr. Cheryl had wanted to leave, but she couldn't move an inch. She felt embarrassed and blushed. When they arrived on the 1st floor, they walked out of the elevator. Dr. Cheryl glared at him and whispered,
Don't you dare to mess with me again.
Cheryl, the fault is not mine.
At 5:30, they arrived at a restaurant. There were not many customers in the restaurant. But the cars that were parked in front of the restaurant were all high-end luxury cars, and cars that's worth tens of millions.
A restaurant is the second most expensive restaurant to dine in California. Seems like you have wealthy classmates to have a reunion gathering here.
The one who invited us here is the guy I dislike the most, and you're going to deal with him tonight.
Okay.
Cheryl!
He knew the guy she mentioned was the one who had a crush on her. Right at that time, someone from behind shouted. Alex saw a young man in a decent suit. He had a slim body figure and he looked excited but slightly nervous.
Are you Rockfeller?
Yes, I am. I'm glad that you still remembered me. But who is this? See?
Chris looked at Alex anxiously. Chris was so shy that he couldn't look Dr. Cheryl in the eye. Alex realized that the suit that Chris was wearing wasn't an expensive branded suit. The color of the suit had slightly faded, as if it had been washed many times. Maybe he couldn't afford to buy a brand new one. Dr. Cheryl said,
He is my friend, Alex.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Rockfeller.
Nice to meet you too.
Chris, did you come here alone? Where is your girlfriend?
Oh, we broke up. How about him? Is he your boyfriend?
With a smile on Dr. Cheryl's face, she slowly put her arm around Alex's arm. Alex felt the strangely warm touch on his arm, and he was on cloud 9. Chris glanced at Alex and sighed silently. The goddess of their class had been taken. He felt sad as he had a crush on her. Then, a waiter guided them to the private dining room where the reunion was held. As soon as Chris opened the door, he said excitedly,
Everyone! Look, who I brought!
Hey nerd, why are you all hyped up? As if you managed to bring our goddess here.
Hello everyone.
Is this really you, Cheryl Coney, the goddess of our class?
Well. It's been a while, our goddess. We've missed you so much.
Come and sit next to Benjamin, he's missed you the most. He was still wondering if you will attend tonight's dinner.
Tonight's dinner is Benjamin's treat. Otherwise, we can't afford to dine in here. I heard that this is the best restaurant owned by Thousand Miles Conglomerate.
The rest pushed Dr. Cheryl to sit next to Benjamin, which made her flustered. Alex followed Cheryl and glanced at Benjamin. He wore exquisite Versace clothing, sat comfortably in his chair, and stared at Dr. Cheryl as she walked in. Right then, a female voice said,
Hey, you bastards. Is Cheryl the only one qualified to be a goddess? Have you all forgotten about me? Cleaner, leave the room. You're in my way. We'll ask for you when. We need you. Get lost now.
It was a slightly plump woman with a normal-looking appearance. While talking, she pushed Alex away and looked at him in disgust. Alex frowned. Dr. Cheryl grabbed Alex's arm and said resentfully,
Brittany. He is not a cleaner, he is my friend.
Your boyfriend?
At the same time, Benjamin looked at Alex with animosity. Cheryl with a pair of beautiful eyes rested her head on Alex's shoulder and smiled.
Well, Alex, my boyfriend. What do you think? Are we meant for each other?
Dr. Cheryl was so beautiful. Many men would dream of having a wife as beautiful as her. Every single move she made captured the hearts of men in the room. Benjamin looked at Alex with so much hatred as if he could kill Alex with his eyes. Everyone else in the room was confused and looked at Benjamin. Then, a man jumped out and said,
Are you kidding, Cheryl? A blind man could see that Benjamin has strong feelings for you. How could you choose a nobody over Benjamin?
Yeah, he's right. Benjamin is a young director of Golden Light Group. He's worth several $1 billion. Whoever marries him can live in peace for the rest of their lives. Who is this man next to you? He is so poorly dressed as if he works at a construction site. How is he worthy of a goddess like you?
I'm way better than you are. If I still don't deserve to be given the chance to be Cheryl's boyfriend, how could you deserve it?
Stop kidding, Cheryl. He doesn't deserve to be your boyfriend.
The crowd became more furious and kept insulting both Dr. Cheryl and Alex. Alex stayed calm. He glanced at Dr. Cheryl and said earnestly,
Love is more valuable than money. Cheryl accepted me because she knew that my love for her is true. She believes that I will be true to her in good times, sickness, and health. I will love and honor her all the days of my life. Moreover, who knows if I will be the richest man in the world in the next few years.
Oh, please. Cut it out, can't you? That wedding vow makes me sick. Richest man in the world, my ass. Even Lord Lex Gunther won't approve of that. Why should we believe you?
Cheryl, where did you find this piece of shit? Is he a patient from your clinic whom you asked to pretend to be your boyfriend just to annoy Benjamin? Please kick him out. It's making me sick.
Enough! How could all of you insult my boyfriend? I'm leaving. Alex, let's go.
Cheryl said angrily. Finally, Benjamin stood up from his chair. He placed his hands on the table and said,
That's enough. From now on, no more nonsense from anyone. Since he is Cheryl's friend, then he will be our friend too.
Now that is how a real gentleman behaves. You bunch of useless men are just jealous of Cheryl being taken. Look. Even Benjamin could accept them with open arms. Why couldn't you do the same?
Brittany rolled her eyes, and immediately laughed as she said. Brittany said that to help Dr. Cheryl relieve the tense atmosphere. It was a reunion gathering after all. Dr. Cheryl had no choice but to look at Alex apologetically and hinted at him to sit down. Everyone started to chat again. But the topic revolved around flattering Benjamin. Alex couldn't be bothered to listen to those flattering words. Instead, he indulged in the scrumptious food by Urasawa restaurant.
Alex, this steak is very delicious. Try it.
It tastes good. This fish is delicious too. Here, have more. It's good for your health too.
Okay. Here. Eat this. It will help to keep your kidney healthy.
Both Dr. Cheryl and Alex continued feasting without bothering about what's happening around them. As Benjamin saw Dr. Cheryl and Alex enjoying their dinner, he looked at Alex with fiery eyes. The main reason Benjamin had organized this reunion gathering was to pursue Cheryl. He couldn't bear to watch Dr. Cheryl and Alex enjoying their sweet moments over dinner. Bootlickers of Benjamin noticed his anger. Then, they turned and looked at Dr. Cheryl and Alex. Brittany said,
Hey, your name is Alex, right? Have you never tasted such delicious food before? Do you usually eat lunch at the construction site? What is your occupation?
Alex replied after finished swallowing a piece of meat. Everyone laughed. Benjamin looked at Dr. Cheryl in deep thought. Since Benjamin had pursued Dr. Cheryl for years, he knew that Dr. Cheryl was a kind-hearted person. She had great insight into choosing the best partner for herself. Dr. Cheryl wouldn't choose a person who was at the bottom of the social hierarchy like Alex as her partner. Benjamin thought, maybe Dr. Cheryl and Alex were putting on an act to test his patience. So, he pretended to be generous.
Is the food enough? Let me order more for you. Are you looking for a job? A true man should be responsible for his future.
Benjamin, it's hard for some to get a job in this competitive society. Didn't Golden Light Group establish a new subsidiary recently? Maybe you can help Alex by arranging for him a cleaner position in that company. It's better than being jobless, staying at home all day.
No, I can't. Cheryl's friend is also my friend. He should at least get a white-collar job. Hey Alex, what is your profession? Let me arrange a decent position for you.
No thanks. I'm fine.
You really can't tell chalk from cheese. Or do you really enjoy staying at home being jobless?
He is gluttonous and lazy. You're a good-for-nothing. Stop dreaming about becoming Cheryl's boyfriend.
Cheryl, where did you find this piece of shit? Are we a fool for you?
Insults after insults were heard from the crowd. When Brittany was about to excuse herself to the washroom, Benjamin said,
Well, we have our own aspirations. Alex already mentioned that he doesn't want to work. Let's not mention it anymore. Let's talk about the new subsidiary. This new subsidiary is a partnership with 1,000 Miles Conglomerate. It's a huge company. We are recruiting 5,000 employees and we are still short of managers. If anyone is interested, do let me know. I'm sure we can offer you some decent positions.
I never knew it was a partnership with 1,000 Miles Conglomerate. That's incredible. 1,000 Miles Conglomerate is the largest group and strongest in the underworld of California. Benjamin, I'm interested.
Count me in too.
Me too! Benjamin, you're our lifesaver!
Flattering words continued to flood the hall. Benjamin looked at Dr. Cheryl arrogantly, but Dr. Cheryl put down the cutlery in her hand and stood up.
Sorry, I have to excuse myself. I have night duties to attend to.
Cheryl, why are you leaving so soon?
Benjamin frowned. He was confused. It turned out to be different from what he thought. He thought that Dr. Cheryl should have continued her act with Alex and waited for him to ask permission from her to be his girlfriend.
Sorry, my patient is waiting for me. Alex, let's go.
Alex stood up, nodded, and burped after being full of dinner. Alex completely ignored all the mockeries and focused on his act as Dr. Cheryl's boyfriend. He was happy that he had a great meal for free. Right then, there was a scream at the door, followed by a slapping sound. Then, a woman ran into the room in a panic. Her clothes were torn. It was Brittany who had gone to the washroom. A man came in after her and cursed.
Brittany, what happened?
Benjamin frowned while he stood up and asked. Brittany tried to cover her torn clothes that exposed her skin. She pointed at the middle-aged man who came in and shouted,
That bastard molested me.
Bitch, who molested you? Hurry up, take out mine.
Before he could finish his words, a bootlicker of Benjamin, Dylan Minette, jumped and kicked the middle-aged man in the chest. The man fell to the ground.
God damn it. Who released this maniac? How dare you molest Brittany? Why don't you molest your own sister?
Other men also stepped forward. They punched and kicked the man. Then they kicked the man out of the dining room. Dylan laughed and said,
You son of a bitch! Let me teach you a lesson. Don't you dare to do it again.
The crowd cheered. Alex shook his head. Others might not notice, but he noticed that the middle-aged man wasn't any ordinary man. He wore a custom handmade shirt from Italy with a small dark plum blossom cufflink. His father used to have one of them. He knew that it was worth $3 million. For someone who could afford this shirt couldn't be anybody. Besides, he knew Brittany was lying from her expression. It couldn't be that simple. Many pretty women would voluntarily present themselves to a man that could afford a shirt worth $3 million like him. How would he fancy Brittany with such an ordinary appearance? To prevent them from getting into something bad, Alex reminded them.
He might be an extraordinary person. I think you guys should back off.
Of course you will think that he is extraordinary. Who else in this room is not extraordinary to a low-ranked person like you? You're such a coward. Get lost. You're nothing but a toy boy.
Yeah. Even if that person is somebody, so what? This place belongs to Thousand Miles Conglomerate. No one would dare to cause trouble here. Right, Benjamin?
Yes. The manager of this restaurant, Ramsey, knows me. He respects me. Don't worry about it.
Let's go.
Alex shook his head and said to Cheryl. However, just as they were about to leave their seats, the door of the room was kicked open. About 7 to 8 security guards of Urasoa restaurant rushed in aggressively, followed by several well-dressed men. One of them was the middle-aged man that had been beaten up just now. With an electric baton in his hand, the chief of security yelled,
Whoever stole Mr. Edgar's diamond ring, take it out immediately. Also, whoever hit Mr. Edgar just now, show yourself.
Everyone in the dining room was shocked to see such a scene. Even Dylan, who had shown courage initially, was trembling. He was shaking like a leaf as he saw the chief security's furious look. Brittany lowered her head and her face turned pale.
Hurry up!
The chief security roared again. Many people looked at Benjamin hoping that he could do something about it. Benjamin noticed a man behind the security guards. It was manager Ramsey from Urasoa restaurant. He immediately walked towards him and said,
Manager Ramsey, I'm Benjamin Smith from Golden Light Group. I believe there must be a misunderstanding.
Unfortunately, manager Ramsey, who was usually polite to him, didn't reply. Instead, he stared at him coldly. Benjamin felt that something was wrong. The middle-aged man who was beaten up jumped out, pointed at Brittany, and said,
That's her! That bitch stole my diamond ring and slapped me!
2 security guards immediately rushed over and held Brittany up. Brittany struggled desperately, but she couldn't break free. She asked Benjamin for help repeatedly.
Benjamin, please help me. I didn't steal the diamond ring. Please save me.
Manager Ramsey, my dad is.
Don't be a fool, liar.
Manager Ramsey glared and interrupted Benjamin. Benjamin's heart trembled when he heard Manager Ramsey's warning. He didn't dare to continue speaking a word after that. Everyone else was afraid to speak after they saw Benjamin kept quiet. Especially those who had beaten up the middle-aged man just now, they were shivering.
This bastard was the one that hit me the hardest.
The man said while pointing at Dylan. Another few security guards immediately arrested Dylan with his hands cuffed behind.
Where's my diamond ring? Give it back to me.
I didn't steal it.
How about you admit it and give back the diamond ring? You can't deny what you've done. There are surveillance cameras in our restaurant which have recorded everything.
Manager Ramsey replied. Brittany shook her head in denial. The furious middle-aged man tore Brittany's clothes and roughly searched her body. Brittany yelled and burst into tears, seeking help from Benjamin desperately, but Benjamin stood there and did nothing. Alex took revenge by standing by and watched what happened to Brittany, who had mocked him a while ago. Dr. Cheryl was kind-hearted. She couldn't bear watching her classmate being bullied. When she was about to speak, a ring fell out of Brittany's pants. It fell to the ground and made a tinkling sound. It was a diamond ring. From the looks of it, the diamond at least weighed 5 carats, which was worth more than $10 million. Dr. Cheryl was astounded. She swallowed her words. Everyone else was astounded too. They didn't expect Brittany to steal and hide the diamond ring here. Who knew that she was a thief? Bam! 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 The man punched Brittany in her face and kicked her.
What is this? Are you a magician? Can you make this ring that cost $20 million to appear out of nowhere? You filthy thief!
I picked it up from the washroom.
Brittany cried. Alex shook his head. Being caught red-handed for a $20 million worth of diamond ring, no wonder Brittany took the risk to deny it. Did she really think that she could possess the diamond ring that she had picked up from the washroom? Manager Ramsey slapped Brittany.
Take her out, I will deal with her later.
Edgar beat Dylan up as revenge. He punched Dylan's face with his fist. Then he grabbed the electric baton and swung it hard onto Dylan's leg. Crack! Dylan's calf bone broke. Dylan screamed. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Dr. Cheryl couldn't help but say,
This is too much. Brittany was the one who stole your diamond ring. Dylan has nothing to do with this. How could you vent your anger and break his leg?
There were more who beat me up just now. My initial idea was to break all their legs. But now I've changed my mind. Since you begged for mercy, I will spare them if you accompany me to Hilton Hotel.
Cheryl's face turned pale. She glared in anger. Alex couldn't stay out of it anymore since Dr. Cheryl was involved. He put his hand in his pocket and said,
All right, stop it. What happened today? Can you just let it go for my sake?
Everyone looked at Alex in confusion. The room was in complete silence. They felt like they were watching an idiot making a fool out of himself by thinking that Edgar would let things go for his sake. They thought that he would be dead meat.
Who are you? How are you qualified to ask me to do a favor for you? Is she yours? Very well, I'll teach her a lesson in front of you. Are you going to just stand there and watch? Who's your patron? I'm really interested to know him. Hold him down.
Edgar looked at Alex with a disgruntled look. He flashed an angry smile and said to the security guards. At this moment, Dr. Cheryl's classmates were entertained to see how Alex dug his own grave. Dr. Cheryl was unable to fend for herself while being publicly insulted. Even Benjamin was forced to keep quiet.
You'll regret this.
Damn, this guy is still acting tough. I can't stand the sight of him. He's obnoxious. Hurry up and take him down.
Manager Ramsey answered Edgar's orders instantly. He didn't bother to look at Alex's expression. He was asking for trouble. Dr. Cheryl was scared to death. She was worried that Alex couldn't handle so many of them. Furthermore, these people worked for Thousand Miles Conglomerate, which was known to be the king of the underworld in California. No one would ever dare to mess with them. They were brutal and aggressive. Whoever got beaten up by these people would be dead meat. Even Dr. Cheryl's grandfather, who was the best doctor in California, couldn't save him. Just then, Alex threw out a black card.
Look. Do you recognize this?
A credit card? Are you trying to bribe me with money? How dare you insult me in my territory? This is...
The manager mocked. He glanced at the card and swiped it off Alex's hand. As the card fell on the ground, Manager Ramsey's smile was gone and his eyes were frozen. He picked the card up hurriedly and examined it carefully. He held the card in his trembling hands and asked,
From where did you get this Supreme VIP card of Thousand Miles Conglomerate? Stop! Hold your horses!
At that moment, the security guards were about to rush upon Alex to take him down. Manager Ramsey stopped them. The crowd was shocked. Benjamin and the rest were extremely surprised. They couldn't believe that this trash had a supreme VIP card of 1,000 Miles conglomerate. It said that this card was a memento from Lord Lex Gunther. Whoever possessed this card should be treated the same as how they would treat Lord Lex Gunther. They couldn't believe Alex had anything to do with Lord Lex Gunther. Edgar panicked. If the card really belonged to Alex, he would be in hot soup for what he had done to Dr. Cheryl a while ago. He couldn't accept it. Edgar said,
Ramsey, are you certain that this Supreme VIP card of 1,000 Miles conglomerate is genuine? It's not a fake?
You can give Lord Lex a call to confirm this.
Manager Ramsey dared not call up Lord Lex. Instead, he made a phone call to the main person in charge of Urasoa Restaurant, who was also an executive of 1,000 Miles conglomerate. Since he couldn't confirm the authenticity of this card, the person that he was about to call could confirm it. Soon, a middle-aged man hurried over. He didn't bother to look at the card. As he saw Alex, his face changed instantly. He walked up to Alex and made a full 90-degree bow. Then, he said respectfully,
Master Alex.
Everyone was so shocked. Especially Benjamin. His heart was beating like a wild animal trying to escape his chest. When he recalled what he had done to Alex throughout the dinner, he suddenly felt that he was lucky enough to still be alive. He had seen this person in charge of Urasoa Restaurant once. Even his father paid respect to this man. If he had offended this man, his family would be in big trouble. But this man, whom many respected, bowed down to Alex and addressed him as a master.
I'm Bernard, the person in charge of Urasoa Restaurant. Your wish is my command.
Bernard was at Hell's Angels that night, so he knew about Alex's identity. Therefore, he addressed Alex as master sincerely.
They suspect that my card is fake. Please confirm its authenticity.
Bernard looked up and scowled at manager Ramsey. He gave Ramsey a hard slap.
How can you not recognize the Supreme VIP card of 1,000 Miles conglomerate? You're not qualified to be the manager of Urasoa Restaurant. You're fired. Get out of here.
Ramsey's face turned pale and he broke out in a cold sweat. But he dared not bleat. He nodded and walked away in despair. He left the room.
Master Alex, did anyone here offend you?
Nothing serious. But this dude here insulted my girlfriend in front of me. I'm not sure how I should deal with him.
You piece of shit. You signed your own death warrant. Guards! Throw him into the river and drown him. Wait! I am the CEO of Pegasus International, Edgar Shepard. I'm associated with Lord Lex Gunther of 1,000 Miles Conglomerate. You can't do this to me! Do you think that Lord Gunther will bother to help you? Drown him! No, please! I was wrong. I apologize. Let me compensate you, Mr. Bernard. Master Alex, please just give me a chance. I know you are big time.
Edgar panicked and he dropped on both knees pleading. He was really frightened. The king of the underworld would always suit the action to the words. Once a kill order was given, it would be executed. Dr. Cheryl couldn't bear to see a murder. She held Alex's hand. Then she shook her head gently. Alex nodded, smiled at her, and said,
Forget about it. Exempt him from drowning. My girlfriend can't bear to see this kind of thing. Break one of his legs as a punishment so he will never forget what he did.
A security guard broke Edgar's left leg straight away. Dr. Cheryl covered her face as she couldn't bear to see it. Alex said,
All right, it's a wrap. I ate too much. Let's go for a walk.
Goodbye, Master Alex.
Bernard handed back the Supreme VIP card and greeted. The rest of the security guards as well followed him. As Alex and Dr. Cheryl left the restaurant, Benjamin and the rest looked like they had just woken up from a dream. They were drenched in sweat. While Dr. Cheryl was strolling with Alex, she asked,
Actually, who are you?
Look at you. Are you scared of me because of what just happened?
I've heard about the famous Supreme VIP card of 1,000 Miles conglomerate. Those with this card are as high-ranked as Lord Lex Gunther. But he is not a good person. Are you close to him?
I'm not. This card belongs to my father. My father has done business with 1,000 Miles Conglomerate. That's how he got this card. But now, he's gone. So, you have nothing to worry about me being associated with him.
So it is. Now, I'm relieved. Thank you for what you did for me just now. If it weren't for you, I'd be embarrassed.
Dr. Cheryl patted herself on her voluptuous breast. Alex was flustered by the movement of her voluptuous breast. He blurted.
Is that all?
What do you want more from me? Marry you? Don't you dare.
I was just pulling your leg.
Then, they bid farewell at the intersection. Alex sat alone on the side of the road and thought to himself.
Where should I go? Should I stay in a hotel tonight? Or should I go back to the Essex family? You believed in the scum but not me. Even nodded and agreed to him. You fool.
Alex said to himself. After a while, he turned his phone back on. More than 30 text messages from Dorothy flooded in. All the messages were to apologize. Before he could finish reading them, Dorothy called. Alex hesitated. Then, he answered the call.
Honey, where are you?
Stop calling me honey. You're Spark's fiancé now. I'm no longer your husband. I don't deserve to be your husband.
No, I didn't. I never promised him. You're my husband.
Do you think that I'm blind? I witnessed it.
I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry, honey. Where are you? I want to see you. Let me explain and apologize to you. I'm sorry, I shouldn't believe Spark. You can punish me or hit me. Please, let's meet up.
When Alex heard Dorothy pleading so desperately on the phone, his anger subsided. But he gave it another thought.
Oh, crap. When Lord Lex put on a show at the Essexes, he addressed me as Master Alex. Does it mean that my identity has been exposed? The Essex family are bloodsuckers. They certainly want me to go back. Then, they will want my help to re-sign the billion-dollar contract with 1,000 Miles Conglomerate. D***M and those fools, go to hell. Did you come to apologize because you were told to do so by Madame Joanne?
No, I want to apologize. Honey, have you already forgotten what kind of person I am? I was worried sick when you didn't answer my call. Tell me where you are now. You can make me do anything when we meet. Alex sighed and told her his location. Then, he called Lord Lex.
Master. Where are you? I've tried to reach you but couldn't get through. Are you all right? I blame myself for my negligence. I didn't know that you had to endure all these bullshit in the Essex's residence.
It's all right. Well, the misunderstandings had been resolved. My wife asked me to return. But now that the Essexes are aware of our relationship, they will force me to get back the billion-dollar contract from you. If I'd call you, you must not agree to it.
Should I burn the company down instead?
No need.
Alex shook his head. Then they discussed the details and hung up. 20 minutes later, Dorothy arrived in a car.
Honey!
Dorothy came out of the car. She was in a panic and regret. She hugged Alex tightly and said,
Honey, I was wrong. I shouldn't have doubted you. You can punish me as you please. Ouch! Did you just hit me?
Alex slapped her hard on her back and said coldly,
Did you think that I was joking? Who told you not to believe me? What's worse, you agreed to Spark's proposal. Were you seriously considering leaving me? Don't you deserve that hit?
I'm sorry, honey. I was wrong. I was confused. I don't know what I was doing. I was disappointed when I thought that you lied to me, That's why I agreed to Spark's proposal as revenge. I'm sorry, you can hit me a little bit harder, don't feel bad about it.
Alex was frozen. All his rage was gone after hearing what she said. Alex embraced their hug, felt warm, and whispered.
Forget it, you were just caught in the moment. It was Spark, that shameless asshole, that planned this fraud with Madame Joanne.
Then, he hugged her tightly and said,
Dorothy, you seem to have gained weight.
Have I?
Dorothy blushed, and she tried to push away her husband, but eventually, she held back. Soon they didn't expect to come back to a group of people gathering there. Madame Joanne, Benny Essex, Anderson Essex, Emma Essex, and many more of the Essex family were in the living room, restlessly and anxiously waiting for Alex's return. They were all present because they knew that they had offended Lord Lex of Thousand Miles conglomerate. A single word from Lord Lex could destroy the Essex family instantly. However, the opposite could also be said. Anyone who got on the good side of Thousand Miles conglomerate would flourish. As Alex appeared, Madame Joanne was the first person to greet him. Contrary to her previous behavior, Madame Joanne was smiling from ear to ear. It was as if she's another person. She took Alex by his hand and said,
Alex, it was all my fault. I was wrong to judge you so quickly, it was my mistake. This was all caused by Spark and Bill. We were all deceived by their words.
Since it is a misunderstanding, then it's no big deal. I am going to bed as I'm feeling tired.
Please hold. Just now Lord Lex tore up the $1 billion contract that was promised to us. What is the relationship between you and Lord Lex? Could you give him a call and ask him to sign the contract again?
Standing behind her, Benny Essex, Anderson Essex and other members of the Essex family were all smiling apologetically. Anderson Essex said,
Yes, it seems that Lord Lex thinks very highly of you. Why don't you explain the situation to him? Forget the $1 billion contract. If he's willing to help our Essex family, we could really become a first-rate business family in California.
Right. I also heard that Lord Lex has several godsons. Our Essex family also has several granddaughters who are yet to marry. You should mention it to Lord Lex. Maybe the Essex family and the Gunther family can become in-laws.
Alex was speechless. The members of the Essex family were truly shameless. He pretended to smile and replied,
Lord Lex and I barely know each other. He owed my father a favor. When I went to look for him, he promised to return the favor to me.
What? It was just a favor?
The Essexes were disappointed after hearing what Alex had said. Once the favor had been returned, they would have nothing left to gain from Thousand Miles conglomerate. Madame Joanne was restless and said,
Since it is a favor, he should honor his words. Alex, try to call Lord Lex to explain that everything was Spark's fault. Please ask him to agree to the contract again.
Alex nodded and made the phone call. He also deliberately turned on the loudspeaker, so that everyone could hear what was being said. When the call was connected, Alex immediately tried to explain the matter to Lord Lex. After which Alex asked,
Lord Lex, could you please re-sign the contract?
Alex, my boy, I went through the trouble of attending Essex Construction's anniversary banquet. I consider the favor I owed to your father repaid. As for the contract that was ripped to pieces, the Essex family only have themselves to blame. Do you think they deserve the contract? Those people are willing to sell their daughters for it. Do not bother to contact me again, or I shall eradicate the Essex family.
This of course was a ploy planned by Alex and Lord Lex. The faces of all members of the Essex family turned pale when they heard what Lord Lex had said. Madame Joanne signaled to Alex to stop his conversation. If the conversation was allowed to continue, it could spell the doom of the Essex family. After Alex hung up the phone, all members of the Essex family kicked themselves repeatedly in remorse.
Oh my God. Just like that, the $1 billion contract is gone. Our golden ticket to have a meteoric rise is gone. It is all Spark and Bill's fault. You useless piece of trash. Why didn't you tell us that Lord Lex was returning your father's favor? If you told us earlier, we would have known Spark and Bill were lying. Such a golden opportunity for the Essex family was lost, and it's all your fault.
Yes, he's the one who tore the contract first. He really is a piece of garbage. It was a golden opportunity, but he decided to act all cool and nonchalant about it.
Madame Joanne's expression was the worst, her face was furiously looking at Alex. She's nothing more than a two-faced snake. Just a moment ago, she was all smiles. She pointed at Alex and yelled as Lady Emma chimed in.
That's enough. If it weren't for you all meeting up with Spark and Bill, none of this would have happened. How could you place the blame on my husband? He's the one who's trying to help the family.
Aren't you the same? You even agreed to Spark's marriage proposal.
Dorothy was angry and embarrassed. The members of the Essex family left one by one, all cussing Alex and their misfortune. Although the billion-dollar contract from Thousand Miles conglomerate had been cancelled, at least Lord Lex would not come after them. After Madame Joanne had left, Madame Claire immediately pointed at Alex and said,
Are you as dumb as a rock? Lord Lex owes your father a favor and you used it for Essex Constructions? Why didn't you use it for us, for your family?
Madame Claire was aggrieved. Lord Lex's gifts were almost in their clutches, but it's all gone now. Alex was not feeling angry at all but felt at ease. Alex thought,
I'm rich, but I won't tell you. I will not give you a single cent.
Mom, don't you bring up this matter again. Alex could have brought us riches, but we did not appreciate it.
If he had kept the $9 million gift from Lord Lex, I would not be this mad at him. Why not just marry Spark? At least he is the young director of Rockefeller Group. Unlike this useless piece of trash.
Mom, don't you ever mention the name of that disgusting animal ever again, or you will never see me again. He set up such a deceitful scheme for me to step in, yet you are still thinking about him? Am I really your daughter?
All right. I won't mention that person again. About the Love in a Fallen City necklace, was it the real thing?
It was real.
Alex shook his head and said. Madame Claire and her daughters jumped out of their seats as they heard what Alex had said. Beatrice's eyes immediately widened.
Did you really buy a necklace that costs $30 million? How much money did you receive from Lord Lex?
I don't have much money. The necklace was a gift from Lord Lex. The wedding ring that I got back was free of charge too.
Oh my God! How could you hand the $30 million necklace away? Are you an imbecile?
It was you who threw it away.
I remember that the woman who took the necklace was someone you know. She is Dr. Cheryl, isn't it? Can you please ask for the necklace back?
Oh yes, we must get it back.
I went to ask for it, but she thought it was just an imitation made of glass and gave it to a little girl.
Huh?
Dorothy's jaw hit the floor. Madame Claire felt hopeless.
My God, that is $30 million worth of jewelry. Did you look for the little girl?
I went to look for her. But it has been days since she received it. The little girl is only 5 years old. She tossed it away and it was impossible for us to locate it.
Madame Claire went berserk and almost couldn't contain her urge to kill Alex. Dorothy also felt a slight pinch in her heart as the necklace was worth $30 million after all. However, she's not as greedy as her mother. Then, she took Alex by his hand and led him upstairs. Dorothy said,
Since it's lost, there's nothing we can do about it.
You are not allowed to go to the second floor with him.
I'll just have a few words with him.
After entering the room, Alex was slightly taken aback. It was the first time he had ever stepped foot in Dorothy's room since their marriage.
Alex, don't blame my mother. You know how she is money-centric. I do not want that necklace, I just want you. Forget it, don't speak of it anymore. I'm going on a business trip tomorrow for an exhibition. I'll be away for 3 or 4 days.
Can't you send someone else? You're the boss.
I'm just the branch manager of a subsidiary company. I must handle almost all business matters on my own. As a man, don't you think you should be helping me out?
My dear Dorothy, you can rest assured that I will definitely help you. Even though the billion-dollar deal with Thousand Miles conglomerate has fallen apart, I'll pull the strings to get you $2 or even $3 billion contracts.
Why do I still feel like you are just spewing empty promises? You should be more down to earth and not be blinded by your confidence. The favor of Lord Lex is not given casually. I hope you take some time to think about what you even want to do in the future. You're a full-grown man and yet you're doing nothing with your life. I know what you're going to say, that you need to take care of your mom. But you can always hire a caretaker, can't you? Just get a job, or you can work in my company.
Okay, I'll think about it.
Alex was put in a difficult spot, as he didn't want to leave his mother to caretakers. Alex was put in a difficult spot, as he didn't want to leave his mother to caretakers. Under Dorothy's glare, he could only nod. The next morning, Alex gave a ride to Dorothy to the airport in her car. She met up with a few colleagues there as they were going to attend an exhibition in Block City. Alex then drove back home. On the way home, he received a call. It was from Cheryl.
Alex, you need to come to the hospital now. It's about your mother.
What happened to Mom?
We'll talk when you arrive.
Cheryl replied seriously. Alex could feel his chest tightening. He immediately rushed to the hospital as fast as he could. Alex realized that Brittany's condition was worsening. He didn't need an explanation from Cheryl as the life support monitor showed her vital signs. Plus he had seen many cases of vegetative states in the past. He knew his mother was in the last hours of her life. This was the worst possible ending for them, and Alex felt helpless. She was like an extinguishing candlelight. No one was able to change her fate.
Mom! Mom, wake up! Don't go! Please don't go!
Alex cried aloud, as tears poured down like a storm. He wrapped his arms around Brittany's body, shaking it vigorously. Like a child, he cried and cried until his voice went hoarse. Cheryl pitied Alex. She placed her hand on his shoulder and said,
Alex, we've done all that we could. But I'm afraid we are still not able to save her. I'm really sorry. She has an hour at most.
Dr. Cheryl, isn't your grandfather the best doctor in California? Can he save my mom? Please call your grandfather over. Please hurry.
My grandpa did come by earlier. But he couldn't help either. Alex, get a hold of yourself.
Alex howled in anguish, pulling onto his hair and hitting himself on the head repeatedly. Cheryl immediately stepped in. Alex turned around and hugged Cheryl tightly. Her shoulder was damp from his tears. Cheryl could empathize with his pain. So, she wrapped her arms around him, comforting him. Suddenly, Claire walked into the ward. Seeing Alex and Cheryl hugging each other, Claire could feel her blood boiling. She rushed over to them and slapped both Alex and Cheryl hard across the face. She then glared at Cheryl and scolded.
Well, isn't this just great? I caught you bastards red-handed this time. I can't believe you would do this in the ward. Have you no shame? Rockefeller, my daughter just boarded the plane not long ago and you're already cheating on her? Why don't you just kill yourself?
The slap startled Cheryl. It made her cheek burn up. And the worst part was what Claire had said. Cheryl knew that she was innocent, she was just a doctor, nothing else. Why did she have to endure such treatment? Claire's loud yelling caught the attention of numerous nurses and families in the hospital. Cheryl was pissed off.
Please mind your words, madam. Please do not spout such nonsense.
Bullshit. Mind my words? Anyone would know that you're the one who should mind your words. Seducing someone else's husband like the slut that you are, and even hugging in public like this. Why don't you just admit to being a shameless slut? I saw everything. There's even saliva on your clothes. You guys just aren't naked yet.
Claire was an extremely hot-tempered woman, the type to hold a grudge and get revenge. She swung her hand again, slapping Cheryl across the face. Cheryl couldn't even dodge it. Everyone was looking at them now, gossiping softly. Cheryl was so triggered she felt like bursting in anger. Alex was still in a daze just a while ago. But he snapped back to reality and pulled Claire aside.
Mom, don't accuse Dr. Cheryl. We didn't do anything. I was just too sad and wanted a hug.
Suddenly, she noticed that the Love in a Fallen City necklace was hanging around Cheryl's neck. Her expression darkened.
Sad and wanted a hug? So you're saying that you'd get in bed with her if you're sadder, huh? And if you say you're not cheating, what is she wearing around her neck then? You lied to me yesterday. You said you gave it to a 5-year-old girl. What is that then? Is she a 5-year-old girl? You jerk, you've been living off of us and yet you're here clinging to another woman. What kind of man are you?
Can you just stop this, please? My mom is dying. She's dying. Can't you see?
Alex wasn't in the mood to quarrel. He yelled with reddened eyes. He brought his hands to his face and wiped his tears. Claire turned to look at Brittany. Lacking sympathy, she huffed.
She's better off dead. She's no different from being dead now anyway.
What did you say? I dare you to say that again.
Sure, I'll say it again. I said, since your mom is better off dead, she won't be a burden then. You bastard. How dare you slap your mother-in-law, you piece of trash. Karma's going to get you for this. You should just die along with your mother. I'll have my daughter divorce you as soon as she comes back. I won't tolerate you and have your ungrateful ass under my roof. Get out of our lives.
She burst into fury, lunging forward to fight Alex. She scratched Alex, forming lacerations on his body. Alex's blood boiled with anger. He pinned her to the wall and swung his fist towards her direction. Claire screamed in horror. With a loud thud, she realized that Alex's punch landed on the wall instead. She pushed Alex away immediately, running for her life. Alex's knuckles were now bleeding profusely. It was an awfully gory sight. He suddenly felt numb and flopped to the ground with a pained expression. Blood was seeping into the black ring he was wearing, but no one noticed. A dim light shone through the ring and entered Alex's body in a flash. Alex could feel immense pain in his head. He screamed out loud as the pain engulfed his consciousness.
Alex? Alex!
Cheryl rushed to Alex and knelt down beside him. He wasn't moving at all. She then urged the crowd to give them some space and carried him onto a bed with the help of a few other nurses. One of the nurses asked,
Dr. Coney, what happened to him?
It could be that he couldn't accept his mother's fate. Let's just let him rest here for a while.
Alex was in an unconscious trance. His consciousness seemed to have entered some weird space. A blurry figure appeared in front of him, and whispered into his ear.
I am Blaine Rockefeller, the god of medicine, your ancestor.
What? God of medicine? Hey, what are you saying? What ancestor?
You're wearing the black dragon ring, and you have my blood in you. How am I not your ancestor? The black dragon ring is something we leave to our descendants. With your blood, I hereby gift you a chance of a lifetime, the ultimate book of medicine. With the breath of the gods, you, as my successor, are to deliver all sentient beings from suffering.
Huh? What skills?
Alex was slightly taken back, yet a large amount of information rushed into his mind before he could even react. He could feel a strong gush of energy flowing through his entire body. Alex felt as if he was surrounded by ocean water. Suddenly, there was a stinging pain in his head. He jerked up from the bed with a scream. He rubbed the back of his head. He felt as if he just had a strange dream. However, he realized that he really received the ultimate book of medicine.
Holy shit, was that all real? Right, what was that black dragon ring the guy mentioned? Could it be the ring that Dad gave me?
Alex murmured in disbelief. He immediately looked for his ring and realized that it had shattered into pieces. Holy smoke! Alex explored his mind. It literally felt like a book, the pages flipping on its own as the vast amount of information rearranged and presented themselves: traditional medicine, witch doctors, voodoo, charms, even medicinal martial arts. Everything came to him just a blink of an eye, engulfing his thoughts. Alex's body relaxed as he felt the warm energy course through his body.
Alex? Alex!
Huh? Dr. Coney, where am I? Where's Mom?
Alex, you just fainted.
Dr. Coney, the patient Brittany Rockefeller has stopped breathing.
Just then, a nurse rushed over. The lot rushed towards Brittany's ward. Alex saw his mother lying still in the bed, her face as pale as a sheet and the ECG in a straight line. A doctor approached them, shaking her head.
Mom. Oh, Mom.
Alex cried loudly as he rushed to Brittany's bedside. However, a bundle of information flashed through his mind. The vein of the brain was clogged by a blood clot, the stomach and the spleen were weakening, the lungs and heart had temporarily stopped functioning, all 4 limbs didn't have enough blood flow, hence causing unconsciousness. She was in a state of suspended animation. He could still save her with the 13 acupunctures of hell. Alex had no idea how he knew any of this information, as if he was some medic expert. He could just identify everything with one look.
Oh right, the ultimate book of medicine. The book I had just received, it was to save others with this knowledge. Does it really work? Get out! All of you! I can still save my mom, I have to! Get out!
Everyone was very taken aback by his sudden change in attitude.
Hey! Just leave him be, let him send his mother off.
Cheryl spoke up with a stern expression. This situation reminded her of her own mother. She had left this world as well. Cheryl was still very young then, yet she had to experience the pain of losing her mother firsthand. She would never forget how it shattered her heart. With Cheryl standing up for him, everyone left the ward. Alex was glad that it was a single ward as well. He closed his eyes as he stood next to the bed. His mind was filled with information from the ultimate book of medicine. The 13 acupunctures of hell was one of the treatments included in the book, and quite a legendary acupuncture method.
Mom can be saved. I'll be able to wake her up immediately too.
Alex mumbled to himself as he came to a conclusion. It was amazing, simply unbelievable. Alex was sure that he was right. However, without silver needles, how could he perform it? Simple. All the acupuncture methods in the book didn't require silver needles. Silver needles were at the lowest rank out of all the needles he could use. Most of the methods required chi or electricity, or he could transform his chi into a flow of electricity. With the chi from his ancestor, he would be able to achieve this. With a small thud, Alex poked his index finger onto Brittany's temple. He could feel his chi flowing out of his finger, slowly forming into small flows of electricity. He was extremely excited as he carefully moved to the next acupuncture point. The middle of the top of her skull. Then, under her belly button. Cheryl was still standing in front of the ward, worried about Alex. She looked into the window of the ward, checking up on him without thinking. However, she was shocked by what she saw. She rushed into the ward.
Alex, what are you doing? Stop!
Don't come near me! I'm saving my mom!
If he really could save his mother, he would be a god. Fine, I'll let him do his thing.
She thought. Cheryl took a deep sigh. He was now speeding up his pace as he poked into a few other vital acupuncture points on Brittany. Cheryl decided to stand aside and watch him. Alex was now pressing hard in the middle of Brittany's chest. With that, the 13 acupunctures of hell was completed. He just had to wait till she woke up.
Mom, you have to wake up, you have to.
Alex closed his eyes and prayed. Just as he said that, a light beep echoed through the ward. Cheryl was startled and looked towards the monitor that was monitoring Brittany's heart rate. The ECG was just a straight line just a while ago, and yet her heart was now beating again.
How could this be?
Cheryl stared in disbelief. She approached Brittany's bedside and noticed her eyelids fluttering, slowly opening up. Cheryl thought that she was hallucinating. After snapping back to reality, she exclaimed excitedly.
Alex! Your mother woke up. She woke up.
Mom! You woke up.
Alex opened his eyes immediately, overjoyed. His eyes turned red as he started to tear up. It was real, the book was real. Even his ancestor was real. This was all thanks to his ancestor. Cheryl was extremely excited and she started tearing up as well. She couldn't believe that Brittany actually woke up. They had announced her death not long ago, yet she just woke up suddenly. This was really a miracle in the medical field.
Could it be that he really was trying to save her?
Cheryl murmured under her breath, staring at Alex with puzzled eyes. Brittany actually woke up and turned to Alex.
Alex, where am I?
Cheryl ran out of the ward to call her colleagues to form a medical team to give Brittany a full-body checkup. Everything was fine with her now. News quickly spread throughout the hospital, causing an uproar. One of their doctors had just announced Brittany's time of death. However, in just a few minutes, someone saved her and she woke up from her coma. Cheryl finally got the chance to ask Alex.
You were poking your mom in random spots a while ago, with nothing in hand to refer to. What was that? Were you really saving her?
What do you mean poking randomly? That was the 13 acupunctures of hell.
What 13 acupunctures of hell?
Ah, well, I learned that online. It seemed to work on patients in vegetative states. I was panicking then, so I decided to try it out. But I didn't think it would work.
Alex laughed nervously as he lied. He knew he shouldn't reveal anything about the ultimate book of medicine. Frankly, he was very much confused as well. Cheryl was speechless. How could he believe everything online? Half an hour later, Alex and his mother were alone in the ward. Brittany stared at Alex and asked,
Son, where's your father?
Dad, he passed away.
Alex's expression was grim. Upon hearing that, Brittany hugged her son tightly and cried hysterically. After calming down, Brittany whispered to Alex.
Son, you have to be careful of your third uncle. I suspect that it was your third uncle who caused the incident that happened to your father and I. I did some digging on the night before your wedding and found out that your third uncle betrayed our company. He reaped benefits by selling information.
Alex was taken aback. He could feel his blood boiling upon hearing this. Alex's father, William Rockefeller, was the head of the family. He had two younger brothers, Noah Rockefeller and John Rockefeller. He had a younger sister as well, Paige Rockefeller. William had decided to take a chance and start a business with someone at the age of 13. 20 years later, he had single-handedly started Rockefeller Group. 10 years later, Rockefeller Group had a capital of $300 billion, becoming a famous business in California. It was a fact that the Rockefellers' achievements were because of William and Brittany's hard work. However, the Rockefellers ended up kicking the both of them out of the family and John took over their business. Spark even wanted to have Alex's wife. If this were really John's scheme, it would be terrifying. Alex clenched his fists tightly.
Don't worry, Mom. If Dad really died in vain because of Uncle's scheme, I'll make sure he pays for it with the worst punishments possible.
Alex decided to stay for the night in the hospital to accompany his mom instead of going back to the Essex's residence. He knew that if he had gone home, he would end up in a terrible fate. Brittany had just woken up from her coma, so her body was still fairly weak. She fell asleep in just a few moments. Alex, on the other hand, couldn't calm down at all. The ring that his father had left him was truly incredible.
Did Dad know about this? Was this the chi that my ancestor had given me? Oh right, training.
Alex thought to himself as he sat next to the bed. He could still feel a strong flow of energy coursing through his entire body. Alex immediately revised the moves in his head. They were from an unknown type of martial arts, the Force, mainly used as medicinal martial arts. He had wanted to try it out, though he wasn't really hoping to get anything out of it. This was all still too surreal for him to process. However, as he started training, it was as if he was a natural at these moves. The training of the Force felt quite simple to him. He was able to gain control over the energy coursing through his veins, flowing to every part of his body. His training was extremely successful. He was able to gain full control over his core and his chi was stronger than before. He had mastered this unknown martial art. At the same time, Cheryl had reached home as well. She took off her shoes and jacket before flopping her beautiful figure onto the sofa. She exclaimed,
"I'm spent."
Here, Cherry. Grandma made some goulash in the evening. Have some, it'll enhance your beauty.
Her grandmother handed her a bowl of soup. Cheryl rolled over and realized that there were 2 huge meatballs laying in a bowl. She picked it up and drank the whole bowl of soup in one go. Her grandmother smiled as she watched her drink the soup. Just then, her grandfather, James Coney, walked into the living room. He furrowed his eyebrows.
You should sit properly, young lady. No wonder you still can't get yourself a boyfriend.
Oh, shut it you old fart. What are you about? My dear little granddaughter is tired. So what if she's putting a leg up? It's not like she's putting it on top of your head. Cherry, just ignore him and sit however you like.
Was it busy at the hospital?
Not really, but there was a vegetative patient who just woke up all of a sudden today.
She smiled as she imitated Alex's poking and explained what he did. She recounted to her grandfather about the 13 acupunctures of hell and how Brittany was revived. But James froze and asked immediately,
The 13 acupunctures of hell? Can you tell Grandpa more about that? How did he do it? What acupuncture points did he poke at?
Grandpa, do you really believe in that kind of stuff? I haven't heard of anything called the 13 acupunctures of hell.
However, she still listed out the acupuncture points he had poked. James's expression turned serious as he listened to her. In the end, he slapped his thigh and exclaimed,
The 13 acupunctures of hell! It really is the 13 acupunctures of hell! It's the legendary reviving method! Cherry, quick, contact the guy! Grandpa would like to meet this young man.
Ha!
Cheryl's mouth was wide open as she stared at her grandfather in disbelief. The next morning, Alex found himself waking up at his mother's bedside. He realized that he had trained the whole night away. So, he felt sticky and uncomfortable. He looked down at himself and what met his eyes shocked him. His body was covered in sticky black oil. It smelt disgusting and strong. He knew that he had used his ancestors' chi to train for the Force. This helped him cleanse his entire body. Although he was uncomfortable from the sticky goop, he felt extremely energized despite training. For the whole night, his body and mind were both refreshed and his core coursed with chi. He turned to Brittany. She was still fast asleep. But her condition seemed better now. This made him believe that it was not a dream. He immediately rushed to the bathroom in the ward and took a shower. However, his clothes were dirty as well, and they smelt disgusting. After Brittany woke up, Alex talked to her for a brief while and headed towards the Alexes' place. However, he saw that his luggage had been thrown out of the Alexes' mansion yet again. Claire was even cutting up his clothes into pieces. Alex could feel his anger exploding like a volcano in his head. He rushed over and snatched the scissors right out of her hands.
What's your problem? Why are you cutting up my clothes?
This is my house, so what if I'm cutting them up? You're not part of our family from now on. We don't take pests in any way.
Claire was merciless. She then took a small stack of divorce papers out from the mansion. Alex asked helplessly,
"Where did you get these?"
Dorothy wrote them. She prepared them from quite a while back.
"Oh, don't you worry, I'll definitely move out. However, I won't be signing these. I want Dorothy to confront me herself."
Alex didn't want to believe a word she said. After that, he picked up a few personal documents and left his other stuff laying on the ground. He didn't need them anymore.
Where are the keys? Give them back. You could live under a bridge for all I care.
It doesn't concern you as to where I'm living. Be it under a bridge or in a 5-star hotel.
Humph, a 5-star hotel? I bet you can't even afford living in a dog shelter. Get out of my house. I'll find a better husband for Dorothy, someone who is much, much better than you useless piece of shit. Even Spark is way better than you.
Alex was extremely triggered by the name Spark. He kicked the well at the side out of anger. With a loud crash, the well was smashed into pieces. Claire's eyes widened in shock. She couldn't say a word and stared at Alex with a terrified expression. She waited until he had walked away from the mansion before she dared to continue yelling at him then. After leaving the Essex mansion, Alex received a phone call from Cheryl. He picked the call up immediately.
"Hello? Dr. Coney, did something happen to Mom?"
Nope, your mother is fine. She's doing pretty well actually. I'm calling you because my grandfather wants to see you.
"Huh? You grandfather? The legendary doctor of California, James Coney?"
Medical experts were usually well known in the area. A legend was just a mere title. James Coney, however, was truly a legendary doctor in California. Everyone knew just how knowledgeable he was. Alex was confused and asked,
"Dr. Coney, what business does your grandfather have with me?"
You'll know when you see him. Go visit your mother first, I'll pick you up at the hospital.
Alex came to the hospital and visited his mom again. She was awake at the time. His anger towards the Essexes dissolved as soon as he saw her. Examining Brittany with his knowledge of the ultimate book of medicine, he noticed that she was doing a lot better than the day before. Relieved, Alex smiled widely and said,
"Mom, I bought this porridge from a stall nearby. The doctor said that you could only eat soft foods as of now. I'll feed you, all right?"
Alex, I heard that you came to take care of me every day. You're even more professional than the nurses now. I'm sorry that I've been such a burden on you.
Brittany stared at him lovingly. Alex could feel his chest tightening. His mother was the absolute sweetest. His mother-in-law, Claire, however, only treated him as a slave. He fed the porridge slowly to Brittany, then gave all 4 of her limbs a massage. Brittany had been in a coma for more than 6 months, so her muscles had been slowly wasting away. However, Alex's massaging method was special. It had the help of the flow of chi from the force as well. He knew that his mother would be able to heal and walk normally in just 3 days' time.
Hello, Dr. Coney.
Your massage technique has quite a unique style. Did you get that? Online as well?
Yeah.
Continue on then.
From Cheryl's point of view, Alex was just wasting his time and energy. He wasn't putting the right amount of strength into massaging, nor was he massaging the right pressure points. She thought that he was just clueless. However, what she didn't know was that Alex had used his chi to unclog Brittany's veins and arteries. Due to the use of chi, he shouldn't massage her limbs too roughly, or he would damage her veins. Cheryl shook her head and thought to herself,
Grandpa wanted to see him to ask about that 13 acupunctures of hell thing. I guess he'll just end up disappointed. He doesn't know anything about the medical field at all.
Alex, I feel so much better after that massage. I think I'll be able to walk soon.
Don't worry, you'll even be able to run in 3 days' time.
Cheryl had almost laughed out loud, yet she decided to hold back and not expose him. At the hospital entrance, Cheryl took out her keys and pressed a button. The headlights of a red BMW X5 lit up.
Get in.
Where are we going?
Ganoderma.
Alex knew that Ganoderma was the clinic that James had opened in California. Apart from James, a group of old doctors was working there as well. A lot of the sick would go to this clinic instead of hospitals. They even attracted customers from other cities due to their popularity. The two arrived at Ganoderma in just a few moments. Alex followed Cheryl from the back and couldn't help but stare. Cheryl was fairly tall, around 170 centimeters. She had curves in all the right places, especially her behind. Her body was very alluring as his eyes fixated on her. Suddenly, Cheryl stopped in her tracks and turned around.
What do you think?
Very fertile.
He blurted out without putting much thought into it. Alex wasn't paying attention to anything she had said. He had been staring at her back the whole time. Cheryl froze and she realized that the guy was still staring at her back. She knew that she was quite gifted in some areas of her body. Her grandmother mentioned just as much too. However, receiving such a comment from a guy was something that she couldn't tolerate at all.
You, shameless. You walk in the front.
She said, turning around once more after taking a few steps forward. Alex wanted to smack himself there and then. He knew that it was wrong for him to say that she was very fertile. Why couldn't you have said something else? What does it have to do with you that she's fertile or not? He thought to himself. With Cheryl's guidance, they soon reached a clinic. Suddenly, Alex noticed that Claire was waiting outside as well. Claire was queuing up outside of the clinic with the other patients. She was at the very end of the line, currently talking to the woman next to her.
The legendary Dr. Coney is really something. I had to ask quite a few friends to help me get an appointment with him, which I had to wait for another 3 months to happen.
Yeah, I had to wait for more than 3 months too. Well, I can't complain, no doctor is better than him.
Why are you here?
Mom.
What do you mean, Mom? Who's your mom? Let me tell you something. You useless piece of shit. My daughter will soon divorce you and we're cutting clean. Stop trying to crawl back to us. Heck, were you stalking me? You probably couldn't find a place to stay, right? Are you going to beg me to take you back?
Ma'am, don't you worry, I have a place to stay. You're in my way, so will you please excuse me, ma'am?
What did you call me?
Claire was triggered. Mom and ma'am sounded slightly similar, but the meaning was one heck of a difference. Claire was 46 years old at the time. But she had done her best to preserve her beauty and kept up with all the fashion trends just to look like she was in her early 30s. Thus, being called ma'am triggered her tremendously. Frustration welled up in her chest. Suddenly, she noticed Cherry walking behind Alex. Slightly startled, her expression changed as she said out loud.
Oh, I see how it is. I was wondering why this trash could agree to get out of my house without hesitation. So you're living with this bitch now, huh? And you were saying that you had nothing to do with her. As if. Look at this woman. She's such a plain Jane, unlike our darling Dorothy. Look at her clothes, they look so cheap. Alex, I really have to say, your taste in women is as low as your life. What you have is just another bitch.
Have some respect, please.
Tisk, you're the one who ruined my daughter's family. You're just a homewrecker, why should I respect you?
As she spoke, a hard slap hit Claire's fair face. It turned out that the one who slapped her was the woman she was cheerily talking to just a while ago. Claire was stunned. She held her face with her palm and asked,
Why did you slap me?
Why? You just called the legendary doctor's granddaughter a bitch. Dr. Coney shouldn't even give you a checkup, you hot-tempered wench. Who are you to yell at them anyway? Just look at you, your daughter probably isn't any better as well. This young man is right to get a divorce.
What? She's the legendary doctor's granddaughter?
Claire's eyes widened in disbelief. Cheryl brought Alex into the clinic. James had just finished checking up on a patient. Cheryl smiled.
Grandpa, this is Alex.
I apologize, everyone. I have a guest to attend to, so please excuse us. Harold, please get everyone's details while I'm gone. I'll be back in a bit.
Dr. Coney, is this guy your grandson-in-law? No worries, doctor. Please go ahead. Your grandson-in-law is paying you a visit after all. That must be important to you. We don't mind waiting.
Yeah. We don't mind coming back another day too.
Claire stood by the door and looked extremely upset upon hearing those words. The legendary doctor, James Coney, was well known in California. His status was much higher than the Essexes. Everyone knew who he was. Even the politicians in California treated him with the utmost respect. He was a VIP in the whole country. If Alex were to become his grandson-in-law, that would elevate his status greatly as well. How could she ever accept that? Alex, James, and Coney then walked past her and entered another room in the back. Alex didn't even glance in her direction, as if she was merely thin air. Alex had no idea as to why James was looking for him. He even noticed that James was a little too modest towards him. Was he really trying to get him to be his grandson-in-law? Just then, Cheryl decided to speak up and explain that her grandfather wanted to know if the 13 acupunctures of hell was real. She continued.
Grandpa, Alex has absolutely no knowledge or experience in the medical field. He said so himself, that was just something he found online. You don't have to stress about this acupuncture thing this much. This was most likely something fictional, something from a novel or TV show. Alex, just look up the site and show it to Grandpa so we can get this over with.
In her point of view, Brittany's miracle wasn't because of Alex, it was because Brittany had a strong will to live and was able to wake herself up. James replied.
Cherry, the 13 acupunctures of hell isn't fictional, it's absolutely real. Our ancestors used to use this acupuncture method, but some of it got lost as it was handed down over generations. As of now, I only have 9 of the acupuncture points. The other 4 are missing. This mystical acupuncture method would only work best with all points. The effect wouldn't be as great if it's incomplete, let alone 4. That's why I've never taught you this. Young man, I'm just very curious. That's why I asked to see you today.
Yes, I did use the 13 acupunctures of hell. It's the real deal. I'm sorry that I lied to you yesterday, Dr. Coney.
There's no way. I mean, where did you even learn that acupuncture method? You didn't even attend medical school. Or did you manually learn traditional medicine? All you did was read a few books. What, did it just pop out of nowhere?
Alex thought to himself, well, you're right about that, it did pop out of nowhere. Just then, hurried heavy footsteps could be heard from the outside. Someone shouted.
Dr. Coney! Dr. Coney! Help! Please help my daughter!
What happened?
A little girl. Her face is pale and bluish. She's not breathing.
This is terrifying. Would Dr. Coney be able to save her?
The crowd started discussing among themselves, hoping for the best. Just then, a middle-aged man carried a 5-year-old girl into the room. He was crying hysterically, with panic written all over his face. With a loud thud, he knelt down. Cheryl immediately got into action. She briefly checked the little girl's vitals. As she checked, her expression darkened. The little girl wasn't breathing and had no pulse. Cheryl immediately started doing CPR, asking the middle-aged man as to what had happened. The man cried.
I don't know, I was just paying at the counter. Then, my little girl just fainted behind me. She just fell unconscious.
Examine her throat,
James said as he approached the little girl as well. Cheryl did as she was told. yet she didn't find anything blocking the airway. James smacked the little girl's back a few times as well. However, nothing came out. In the end, all James could do was sigh and shook his head in grief. The man was still on his knees and cried even more hysterically. With a puzzled look, Alex watched by the side. He could see a faint figure that looked exactly like the little girl, standing next to him. She was staring at the man, calling him Papa repeatedly.
Is this her soul? Well, damn, I can see spirits too now.
Alex muttered under his breath. As the saying goes, it is impossible to revive the deceased. However, in the ultimate book of medicine, there's still hope for someone who had just passed. He tapped on Cheryl's shoulder.
Can I have a go?
Stop messing around.
You're not helping.
Alex then dragged her harshly to the side. Cheryl stumbled aside, annoyed by his actions. Alex then grabbed the little girl's soul and forced it back into her body. Ghost doctor skills were included in the ultimate book of medicine, including methods to cure the spirit. Thus, it wasn't too surprising that Alex was able to see spirits. The method he was using had a title as well. It was called soul shifting.
Mr. Coney, come over here.
Huh?
Didn't you learn the 13 acupunctures of hell? I'll be using that to save her now. Just watch and learn.
He then started using his chi and pressed down on the first acupuncture point. With the training of the force, his chi now had the element of electricity. Cheryl placed a hand to her chest, trying to calm down from anger. She was more annoyed by the fact that she had witnessed him poke his mother in random spots, as if he were just a child messing around. This was all too ridiculous to her.
Is he really talking to Grandpa in such a tone? That's just being too arrogant now, isn't it? Does he really think he's some sort of legendary doctor?
Do we not need silver needles?
James was surprised. This was unbelievable to him as well. He was starting to doubt the young man, thinking that Alex might have a screw loose. He got too excited back then upon hearing the acupuncture method. He continued poking as he said,
Alex, stop it! You're not a doctor! It was pure luck that your mother woke up. You're just wasting time here. She might be saved if you let me handle this.
He's not a doctor.
No.
You fucker. Stop touching my daughter if you're not a doctor. Are you insane? Fuck off.
Don't touch me, or your daughter will really die. I still have one acupuncture point left.
Ah! I'll kill you.
The man screamed and swung his arm, about to slap Alex. However, his attack was blocked. Alex stared at him and said calmly,
Look at your daughter, she has woken up.
Ha!
Everyone stared at the little girl. Her eyelashes fluttered gently as she slowly opened her eyes. She actually woke up. Cheryl's eyes widened, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. However, after waking up, the little girl felt extremely uncomfortable. She placed both of her hands on her neck area as if she was suffocating.
There's something in her throat. It's still stuck.
Let me handle this.
Alex said and pressed his hand against the little girl's chest. He lightly poked on her chest again, as if he were playing a lute. Cheryl recognized this method. Alex had massaged his mother's limbs the same. With a loud thud, Alex pressed down hard on the little girl's chest. An object flew out of her mouth as she spat it out. It was a kumquat. The man suddenly remembered something and exclaimed,
It's the mountain hawthorn. I bought some for Zoe a while ago. I thought she had finished it earlier. I didn't think it.
It was stuck too deep in her throat so it couldn't be slapped out. No matter, everything's fine now.
Papa.
As expected, the little girl was able to breathe normally again. Her cheeks were slightly flushed as well. She turned to the man and called. The man hugged his daughter tightly. He thought that he had lost her. He sobbed uncontrollably as mixed emotions welled up in his heart. Alex turned to James.
Did you catch that, old man?
It really is the 13 acupunctures of hell. God, I didn't think I'd be able to witness it firsthand in this lifetime. I can die in peace now. But I'm old. My eyes aren't all that well. You were doing it a little too fast, so
James seemed exceptionally excited. His eyes lit up. Alex smiled, noticing that there were a pen and a few pieces of paper lying on the office desk. He walked over and immediately wrote on a random piece of paper. In just 2 minutes, he was done writing. Alex handed James the piece of paper and said,
"Here you go."
This is the full version of the 13 acupunctures of hell? You're just going to give it to me?
James retrieved it and examined it. His lower lip trembled in shock. Every doctor would only hope to get their hands on such a mystical acupuncture method. It was priceless. How could this man just give it out like that? Was he a spendthrift? Alex didn't mind at all. The 13 acupunctures of hell was just an insignificant method within the larger ultimate book of medicine. All of this information came to him for free as well, hence he didn't think to keep all of this to himself. He said,
"Old man, you're the legendary doctor of California. You saved countless lives. If I gave this acupuncture method to you, more people could be saved. So, why shouldn't I give it to you? You can teach it to Dr. Cheryl Coney too."
I, James Coney, am forever grateful to you for entrusting me with this knowledge. I have nothing much to offer, but I thank you on the behalf of everyone else who is in need as well. Thank you, young man, for your generosity.
Oh please, don't kneel for me, old man. Get up, please, you really don't have to thank me.
Alex said as he helped James up. The little girl's father was incredibly thankful towards Alex as well. He felt especially regretful that he had just kicked Alex in the waist. He felt so embarrassed.
Young doctor, I'm so sorry for my behavior just a while ago. You saved my daughter, you revived her, you basically saved my whole family. I should be damned for life, to think that I wanted to beat you up. Oh, I haven't even introduced myself. I'm Charles Carter, from Wayland Realty.
Please, don't blame yourself. I understand how you felt. Your daughter just woke up, so you have to take better care of her now. Sir, Dr. Coney, if you will please excuse me, I have to go visit my mom in the hospital now.
He turned around and left the clinic so quickly James couldn't even catch up to him. Charles froze.
Oh no, I forgot to ask for the young doctor's name. I have to repay him for saving my daughter somehow. Dr. Coney, you know him, right?
He's the son of the founder of Rockefeller Group. His name is Alexrockfeller.
Ha! That was him?
Cherry, you should catch up to him. We can't just receive from him like this. We have to repay him too.